The other day, someone asked me, "Hey V, are you going to make a video about Juneteenth?" I'm like, "What? Juneteenth? What are you talking about?" No. Juneteenth. It's a new holiday in the United States. It just got voted in. And I'm like, oh wow, so the United States must be doing quite well lately if the politicians have time to vote such interesting legislation. And I look into it, I do a little bit of a research, and I gotta say, the Democrats, hands down, some of the smartest people in the world. I'm not even being sarcastic here, I'm not even being ironic. Like, they deserve to have power just because they are so cynical and they're so smart. I mean, think about it. They're not giving their voting base what the voting base asks for. They're not abolishing student debt. They're not going to give them public health care. They're not doing anything that the people elected them to do. No, but what they do instead is they give them some breadcrumbs. They give them like some meaningless social issues, which also benefits the Democrats more. Like, no one gets to benefit from Juneteenth more than a Democrat. And I'll tell you why. But yeah, I mean, if you're the actual person voting for them into office, you're the voting piggy, okay? Like, you don't get anything. Now, if you were Jeff Bezos, then you'd get a lot. Those are the prestige people that deserve to get stuff from the Democrats. But if you're like the voting piggy, you don't deserve shit. And I'll tell you why you don't deserve shit. Like, think about it. If they would actually help the people that voted them, why would the people vote for them in the future? I mean, they're the party of the poor. If people stop being poor, then they don't vote Democrat. Duh, right? But here's the interesting take, right? Why Juneteenth helps the Democrats more than anyone else. Because it's a trap for the right wingers. On one hand, if the right wingers say that this is a divisive holiday, that this is going to segregate people into those who celebrate 4th of July or those who celebrate Juneteenth, that person is going to be treated like a crazy person. All right? That person is going to be treated like an insane individual. Even though it's already happening. Like, you get places in the United States where people are allowed to go out and celebrate Juneteenth, but they're not allowed to go out to celebrate 4th of July because COVID. Because you see, like, this virus maybe has like a new strain. I understand you're not supposed to say like the Indian variant anymore because it's xenophobic. So maybe it has like the Gamma strain, you know, or the Omega strain, which only is active during 4th of July, like during Juneteenth visit. Or maybe, you know, the politicians there are so cynical that they're like, hey, we're going to let these voting bloc, like these people who celebrate Juneteenth, let them get sick. Let them get sick in public. Let them get sick. You know, the people who celebrate 4th of July, those are the real Americans. They get to stay home and enjoy the celebration in the virtual space. Maybe it's a little bit of that. I don't know at this point. But to me, you know, I'm not an expert. Okay, like, it's trust the experts, trust the... I'm no Fauci. I don't know. Why is it that 4th of July cannot be celebrated outside? You can't have fireworks. But on Juneteenth, you can have it. So it's a little bit bizarre, you know? To me, at least. So there's that. You know, the second thing, a lot of people are now being concerned about the fact that the American flag is being treated as a hate symbol. And again, like, when you say it, it sounds ridiculous. Like, who does it? Well, apparently, an MSNBC by the name of Mara Gay found it disturbing that there's too many hate symbols, too many American flags flying around. You know, I guess she's like a Democrat. Like, if you bring an American flag into a room filled with Democrats, they go like, get it away! It hurts us, it does. It's comfort it brings us, it does, you know? And you might be laughing, it's like, dude, it's ridiculous. There's other countries where the national flag is considered a hate symbol. I'm not even kidding. Like, in England, for example, people get into trouble if they fly the English flag. There's a whole ritual when you're allowed and not allowed to fly it. Apparently, like, during certain football matches, you're allowed to fly it, but even then, it's like an eyesore. It's like, he's flying the English flag. Yeah, and then there's Germany with Angela Merkel, like, famously, the German flag, put it away. Like, you legitimately have these things. And why do you have them? Because they're symbols. Okay, symbols have meaning. They're very powerful. You may think it's like, oh, Juneteenth, who cares? The Democrats care. They care about it more than abolishing student debt. They care about it more than giving people public health care. They really do care about it. Why? Because, well, if you're a Republican, you get two choices. Either you vote for it, and the people that are going to say, well, this is divisive, they might not vote for you in the future, so you're upsetting your own voting base. Or you may choose not to vote for it, and then people are going to say, see, the Republicans are racist. Why would they not vote for Juneteenth? So that is like with the game. That is how the Democrats are, winning. Just like another small battle, just another small victory in the culture war by putting the Republicans in a lose-lose situation. If I was a Republican, I would go and I would say, Juneteenth celebrates the defeat of the Democrats at the hand of the Republicans in the Civil War and the freeing of the slave. But anyway, this is not the only reason I made the video. The reason that I really made the video is because, as I mentioned before, like, symbolism matters. So you now have this lady, Marcy Gray, which you may not, like, your first question might be, who the hell is Marcy Gray? And this is an understandable question because, again, it's a washed-up celebrity, which most people didn't hear about, and they're pushing for some controversy. They're pushing for some, like a take that she knows most people will not appreciate, just so that she can get her minute of fame, just so that she can get into the press. And by the way, it's working because, like, a lot of publications are now talking about this, right? So she's coming up with the new American flag because she doesn't view that the previous flag is democratic. So she's now making like a new flag which represent the various races in the United States. Now let's talk a little bit about symbolism, okay? I'm not an American, all right, but I think I know a little bit about American culture. Not a lot, just a little bit, because when you live under socialism in Eastern Europe, you start to dream. You start to dream about other people that didn't have to put up with this authoritarian shit. With people that didn't have their lives ruined by socialism. You're like, how would it be in other places in the world? It's like, oh, America, those people had it so good. So you get interested in other cultures. Now, in the case of the American flag, each star represents a state, if I'm not mistaken. Do I get this correctly? Am I understanding how it works? All right. So all of these states are democratic. Like, each person, each member of a state, each citizen gets to vote for a governor. And they get to vote for the elected officials. Right? So the state on the flag represents the will of the people in that state. And together, like all the states, then they get to vote for the federal level. Am I understanding it? Like, maybe I'm getting it a little bit wrong. Okay, please don't hold it against me if I'm not 100% correct. I'm not an American. But again, like, what I do understand is that the states are made on democratic issues, right? They're funded based on democracy. What is this racial bullshit thing, though? Like, who gets to vote on who gets to represent the brown race in the United States? Who elects that person? Because the funny thing is that there are representatives for some groups, right? Like, you probably have, I don't know, the ADL, which speaks on behalf of the Jewish community, right? You get like certain black activists which speak on behalf of the black activist community. So you do have like the voices that get to speak on behalf of the race. But they're not democratically elected, are they? Like, black people don't get to vote for who represents them. They don't get to vote for Sean King. But Sean King on Twitter has got like a big following, and when he says something, people listen. Did you notice that? Isn't that interesting? So this, in order to make it more democratic by making it less democratic, right? Because what it is, like, I'll tell you what identity politics is. Like, I think I can pin it down in a way that anyone can understand it. It's literally the same as a union. Like, you're unionizing based on arbitrary characteristics. That's what identity politics are. The only problem is that unions, they sound absolutely great on paper. And in some small businesses, they might even be beneficial. Like, if you have like 20, maybe 30 employees at a company and they unionize, maybe it can be good. From my personal observation, okay, I'm not a doctor with a lab coat to give you the study, but I'm telling you, like, I worked in different places, and maybe it was that I was just extremely unlucky. Maybe it was that everywhere I went, I experienced the most cancerous unions you can possibly imagine. Corrupt as hell. If you wanted to get a job there, you needed to grease the wheels with the union boss. Every now and then, the union boss might say, hey, let's have a strike. And people went out there striking. And you have no choice in the matter, by the way, because you may lose money. You may have debts to pay. The union boss doesn't care. But if you go to work, you're now union busting. You're now strike busting, as they say in Romania. You're a scab. I think they even have like slurs for that. So what ends up happening is like the company bribes the union boss, like gives him some money under the table, and then like the strike gets called off. The workers don't win. The company doesn't win. The union boss wins a lot. Right? So it's just one example of how cancerous unions can be. But that's literally what they're doing. And now they're doing it based on arbitrary characteristics. So if you happen to be a woman, well, congratulations. Now you're in the women union, and feminists are going to speak on your behalf. You're not going to get to vote for them. You're not going to elect them. You're not going to say which feminist activist you want to represent you. No. They're going to be self-appointed, right? And that's what identity politics is. Of course, with the added thing, it's like, okay, so I, as a white person, who gets to represent me? Because the problem now becomes, and I'm treading on very dangerous territory here. I'm fully aware, very murky waters, all right? In a world where everyone gets to do identity politics, and let's say like someone says, all right, so white people should pay reparations. I agree. I should pay reparations. Okay? How much? How much reparations? $50 trillion. And I'm like, you know what? 50 trillion is a little bit too much. Maybe I should pay 45 trillion. Like maybe just like the sum of 50 is a little bit too high. Let's lower it to 45. Who gets to represent me in order to do the negotiation and the bartering? And if someone organizes and say, all right, I want this guy to white supremacy. So, the system is not democratic. It's why a lot of people, and I'm explaining to you why people don't like it, okay? Why people are against identity politics. It doesn't represent the actual people. It's not democratic. It doesn't improve the lives of the people within. It's corrupt as hell. And you're also encouraging for white supremacy. Because, if everyone does it, then, well... Also, another interesting take. Did you know that the white in the flag, Mary Gray does not like? She doesn't like the white in the flag. No, seriously, with this lady, it seems if it's white, it ain't right. She doesn't like the white because it resembles purity. And according to her, America isn't pure. By what godly standard, though? What nation in the world? Name me the nation in the world that's pure. I mean, if you compare America with other nations, maybe it's pure, maybe right now, today, in the United States, you don't have, child slavery at the same level like you can have in other countries. So, by that standard, it's pure. But, with the standard that there is no crime happening, there's no injustice, I don't think there's any nation that has that. Ever. So, that's my little understanding of Macy Gray and her flag. I generally don't think, she's actually doing this because she wants a new flag. I think, she's doing this because she wants publicity. And she's got a lot of publicity. In fact, I gave her a little bit of publicity here. She should thank me for it. Hey, Macy Gray, if you're watching this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to help the channel out, there's a link to my Subscribe Star. Click it up. I got a wedding coming up, so I need to e-beg like never before. And if you guys happen to find this video funny or interesting, do share it around those social media and let me know what you think in the comment section, because I definitely do read them. So I'll see you guys there.